These 4 things are guaranteed to keep you broke. Are you ready to hear what they are? By the end of this video, you will know exactly what is keeping you from building lasting wealth. My name is Carmen.
And I'm Darius. And for most of us, we don't even get started on the journey to build wealth because of some of the things that's happened to us prior to. So when it comes to building wealth, the most important thing is how we start, not necessarily how we finish.
So let's jump into the first point. It is juicy, and a lot of us have it. It's called student loans, folks. Are going to keep you broke. You know why? Because statistically, the average salary out of college is $55,000. But guess what the average student loan amount is?
$38,000. So with a $17,000 difference on average of how much money you make versus how much money you owe right out of the gate, you're in not that great of a situation, because what we have to do early on is start investing in our future, i.e. our retirement funds.
But even before the retirement funds, I think it's just important for people to understand this, because if we take our 2 situations, for example, like a lot of people graduate college and they don't even have a job on the line, right? There's not even 55 grand up on the line, right? What my first job out of college, and I had a master's degree, was making minimum wage. And I was fortunate enough where I had an athletic scholarship and my parents were able to make up the difference, where I didn't have student loans. So I, out of the gate, didn't have to pay student loans and wasn't on the hook for it. Whereas Darius, you had student loans. But granted, you were able to have a job right out of the gate as an engineer where you were able to keep up with the payments. So you have to understand what you're doing when you talk about you're investing in your education, because it is going to cost you a lot of money, and you have to determine, is this investment going to be worth you making this move right now to ensure that you can afford it? We're not discouraging anyone from getting education or going to college, but you have to understand the financial implications that come along with investing in your education.
Yeah, there was this illustration that I read about some time ago where it talks about running a race. And the thing about this race is the fact that people start at different positions. Some people may start further ahead than others, and some people may start way behind the starting point, and they have to make that up. For a lot of people that are broke, it's because they had to start from way behind the starting line. There's so much energy that they have to put into to make that time up. And a lot of us don't make that time up, not necessarily because we don't have the abilities, because we don't put in the effort. And when it comes to our student loans, this is one of those things that emotionally it doesn't work in your favor, because you're looking at this $38,000 that you owe and the $55,000 that you earn, and you're already bad emotionally about the financial situation you're in from the start.
Your salary is already spoken for.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And how can you start at the starting line if your salary is already spoken for and you already out of the gate have to start paying on these student loans? And to note, the student loans are something that stays with you forever. Like there's no, depending on what you do, but I was going to say there's no forgiveness in the sense of they don't go away.
Right. Now,
depending on what kind of industry you're in, though.
Now, Carmen and I, we were in this situation when we first got married. I had student loans and Carmen didn't. Well, that's good for us, but we still had those student loans. So what we did is we prioritized one of our incomes just to get ourselves out of debt. Now, that was our strategy that worked out for us. I only had student loans for about a year and a half because we made that our priority to knock that off, because of the fact of how many people have student loans and how much of their income is already spoken for as a result. So we wanted to free up that money, because no matter what happens, you have to pay your student loans. When you owe the government, you have to pay the government.
And the other thing to think about, so what is the solution, right? So what is the solution to this education piece? Is the solution maybe looking at community college, which is a lot more affordable? Is the solution not looking at a fancy, state college or out of state tuition? Because again, already out of the gate, you're just consuming a bill that you may not be able to afford. So sometimes we have to humble ourselves and realize that community colleges can give us an amazing education, and transferring maybe in our junior or even senior year so that we can offset some of those expenses might be a little bit more financially sound than just jumping into a university. Just something to think about. The other thing too is, are you even ready to go to college right now, right? I feel like in the United States of America, the minute you turn 18, you got to go to college. It's just expected of you, which is fine. But a lot of times kids get pushed into college and they're not ready for it. And now either their parents or they are on the hook when maybe if they waited a year or two to understand exactly what their values were, what they wanted to do, if they even wanted to continue their education to begin with, is something that is okay and probably should be spoken about more at the dinner table than just assuming that the next step is college for everyone.
Right. So the very first thing that's keeping most of us broke is, or 99% of people broke, is the debt that we get into for our education. And
yes.
What Carmen just talked about is if you have children that are getting ready to go into college, or you yourself are thinking about going into college, think about that prior to the amount of debt that you could possibly get into if you don't have scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for those of us that have already been through college and we have student loans right now, we need to think about or prioritize how we can pay some of that student loan debt off so that we can reduce the amount of money that we have to put in that particular bucket.
Yeah. And the other thing too, like we're just talking about the average Joe with $55,000 in income. We're not talking about doctors and lawyers and all of those who graduate with hundreds of thousands and sometimes even millions of dollars of student loans before they even have their own practice. So that is definitely something that everyone needs to start considering, because what is your investment in education going to cost you?
Yeah. Now, $1 million is a lot, but you really have to think about the state of inflation that we're in. The cost of education is going up. So for those people that are like PhDs that have expertise in certain things, it costs a lot of money in order for them to go to college.
Absolutely.
And they spend a lot of time in college. I have some doctor friends that feel like knowing them more in college than them actually being in practice.
It's true. All right. So the second point is near and dear to our hearts, and that is when people misunderstand financial products. How do we unpack that, Darius?
So I think when it comes to misunderstanding financial products, they believe that they can just set it and forget it. And most products, they don't work like that.
Yeah.
They don't work like a Vegas slot machine where you can just put money in and automatically you get this profit out. There's a series of work that you have to do and research, and there's things that you have to physically do in order to make your money make money for you. And I would even say ideally what we focus on is life insurance. Regardless of how much information we put out there about life insurance, there's still going to be some people that misunderstand that particular product. If you're one of those ones that think you just put money into a life insurance policy, even if you're using it for high cash value, you think you can just put cash into a life insurance product and forget it. What you have is just life insurance. In order for you to do the banking that we talk about, you have to use those funds inside that policy or use the cash value from that policy in order to invest so that you can earn money in two different places.
Yeah. And the other thing too is going back to the Vegas analogy. We were actually talking about the subject with our team and they brought it up. So we're giving them the kudos, where they were just talking about how Vegas is built on losers, not winners.
Yeah.
Do we think about that? Like that was really deep when we had our team meeting. We were talking about that. We're like, yeah, Vegas is built on losers, not winners. Think of all the beautiful hotels and the casinos and all the amenities. It's created because of everyone who goes there and loses their money, right? Because if we go to Vegas thinking, oh, we're going to win it big, but how many of us, what is like 1%, maybe even less than 1%, actually win big in Vegas? So think about the 99 other percent of people who are not winning big and how all of that money is going to fund the businesses. And that's what happens when people just jump into crypto. I'm just using crypto as an example. Not bad mouthing crypto at all, but I'm just saying everyone who jumps into crypto because their neighbor made money in crypto, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be your story, because you need to understand how crypto works. That's why we say the second point is all about misunderstanding financial products, because a lot of times we just go, Fred made it big, so I'm going to go over here and made it big because he made it big, or my brother did it, or my sister did it, or my cousin. And now I'm going to move everything that I got over here because it made sense to one person, where it may not make sense to you, and you may not even be willing to put in the effort that they put in to get the result that they needed. So we say it a million times, you have to be invested in the things that you're investing in, no pun intended. It's truth, and it's really about understanding the financial products, the ins and outs, all of the nuances, so that you can make sure you don't get into trouble or lose money.
Right, and when Carmen says invested, we're not talking about the invested as far as putting your money into it. We're talking about putting in the time to understand the product and how it works. By you understanding how the rules or how something works, it allows you to make better decisions on how you use the product for yourself. Because it's one thing to buy a Ferrari and not understand how much power is in that bad boy, and you drive it off the lot, just hit the gas. You're not going to be able to control it. The same thing with any financial product that you use or any financial product that you're prepared to use. You have to do your research. You have to become an expert in that particular product or field.
Yeah, and let's put some context to it. So we're going to talk about a specific family member who was investing in the stock market, right? They were investing in the stock market and thought they were checking the box. I'm investing. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, right? But when we looked at their portfolio and looked at the numbers, they were losing money. It didn't make sense for them to be in the stock market because they weren't actively involved in managing their portfolios. They were allowing someone else to manage it, but when you looked at the numbers, the fees that it cost for this particular individual to manage their portfolio was higher than the rate of return that they were getting. Is that checking the box or no? Again, you understand the things that you're doing, because just because you have money invested and you think that you're earning money, when you go to look at your returns at the end of the year, or hopefully you're not waiting 12 calendar months to look at your returns, you realize that you haven't made any money. And in addition, because it was money that was invested, the thought was, oh, well, I can take some money from this investment because I'm earning money. No, you're cutting off your legs because killing the compound interest. If you're taking money out of the investment, now you have to pay for fees and this and that. You're not making any money in this investment, and it's costing you more money than having the money invested.
Right. So the moral of the story is to understand the financial products that are offered to you before you use them.
Absolutely. So go ahead and comment below. We want to know, what are some other things that you guys feel are keeping people broke, keeping them behind from building lasting wealth? And if you need help, we are here to help you. Click on that link below. We would love to serve you at the Wealth Nation, because whether you join our community where you are engulfed with like-minded individuals such as Darius and myself who are all about creating lasting wealth, or you become a client of our business, we would love to serve you in any way possible.
Right. Now, the third one is one that I say people of our generation fall to, and that's the desire to work. And I would say for me, as a seasoned millennial or as an older millennial, fell into this category initially of saying that, okay, I can put my money here and I don't necessarily have to work for it. It's going to work for me where I don't have to. But the thing is, that's not always the case. That's never the case. What we have to do is we have to put in that work. We're not comfortable working, so what we do is we think that somebody else can do it for us.
You know what? When you said desire to work, I was thinking about it from a completely different perspective. So I'm glad that you said this, because at first I was like, wait, what are you talking about? So keep going on your point. Because before we rehearsed what we were talking about, I was thinking we were talking about one thing, but this is juicy. So go ahead, keep going on that.
No, I'm just going based off my own experience. I felt like when I had a degree, what was supposed to happen for me is I was supposed to get this amazing engineering job where I just go and do some graphs and check comes to me every 2 weeks. But it's how hard are you willing to work for the lifestyle that you want? Because if you're not willing to work hard for your lifestyle, then you're not going to get the lifestyle that you want. You get what you work for. Just because you want it, you get exactly what you physically put in the effort to get.
Are you talking about entitlement, Darius Britt?
Exactly.
That's what it sounds like you're talking about, entitlement. And I can agree to that, because I know. I went through it as well. I graduated with this certain degree. I should get this type of job. But society is like, yeah, we don't owe you nothing, Carmen. Right. In that essence, desire to work, Darius talking about entitlement, where the younger generations these days aren't willing. Yeah, we're throwing ourselves in too, but we've changed. We're not willing to put in the work, put in the man hours to see our visions through. We just thought that we should show up and everyone should just throw money at us because we got a college degree. Now, the desire to work that I was thinking about is the actual physical desire to work in terms of trading time for money. That's what I was thinking, in the sense of everyone going to work and almost having that overtime mentality, where they're like, I'm just going to put in all the man hours I possibly can, which is kind of contradictory to what you were just saying. But hear me out. What I'm saying is we need to think about money at work and not necessarily us at work, in the sense of how can we leverage our time? How can we be more strategic with the things that we're doing to make more money, as opposed to being confined to only making money when we're moving our hands or our feet.
Okay, so I agree. It can be the way that you say, as far as going out and making the money yourself, your actual drive in order to the hustle. The hustle as far as trading time for money. But also, it works both ways.
Yeah.
Because
it's absolutely both ways.
Yeah, because your desire to work is the fact that I think that I'm entitled to this. I don't necessarily have to physically go out and work for it. It should be given to me. Or I feel like I don't have to work that hard. But the thing is, you always get what you put out. And if we want this certain mentality, we have to put in the work to get that lifestyle.
Yeah. So from either perspective, if you are coming from the entitlement standpoint where, I have this PhD, I should be, doing this, that, and the other, you may need to humble yourself, sir or ma'am, and understand that it's going to take some grunt work. You got to put in the hours to make it work. Now, if you're also coming from the perspective of, I am going to work my buns off and trade 12 hours for X amount of money, how can you be maybe more efficient with your time so that you get paid not to just always show up? How can you create systems and duplicate yourself where maybe you have a team of people working with you so that you can increase your earning potential as opposed to being confined to a specific earning potential when you show up?
Right. So the something for nothing is another thing as far as falling under the desire to work. People want the results of nothing. Like TikTok famous or YouTube famous. There's a lot of hard work that goes into what successful people do. And I think a lot of times people think that they can circumvent that by going around and doing what they see people doing, and they think they're supposed to have that lifestyle, but not aware of how much work goes into creating that actual lifestyle. So the something for nothing also.
I definitely think it goes into that mix. Now, the fourth point that we want to talk about is what's keeping you back is your own inertia, or consider it your own environment, ladies and gentlemen, because who are we surrounding ourselves with? What is the environment that we've engulfed ourselves with? And how is this environment helping us build wealth? Because what we've said on previous videos is wealth is about consistent action moving forward. And a lot of times you have to get uncomfortable in order to have that consistent action. Consistency is hard. It is so hard to be consistent. Try running every single day, right? Let alone managing your money every single day and making sure that you're investing every single day and you're protecting your assets in many different ways, in more ways than one. So what is your environment doing? How is your environment helping you progress and achieve lasting wealth? And if you're not willing to get uncomfortable and to sometimes stay in an uncomfortable lane, it's going to keep you from building wealth, because wealth was never built on people being comfortable.
And I like the analogy that you use with running, where we can compare health and wealth. In order for us to get the results that we want as far as health wise, sometimes we have to go in there and lift weights. And when we start initially, we're uncomfortable because our muscles are sore. Or when we first start running, our lungs are sore or our legs are sore. It's us being uncomfortable in order for us to get the results that we want, because we're doing something that we haven't done before, or we're working harder than we've ever worked before. And in order for us to get the lifestyle results that we want, to where we're not like the other 99% of the people that are broke, we have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. We have to be comfortable doing stuff that 99% of the people aren't willing to do.
So it's all about checking yourself. Are you comfortable? If you are not uncomfortable, then 9 times out of 10 it's because you are comfortable. And it's easy, right? It's just easy to sit on the couch. It's just easy to do the things that you are normally used to doing.
Netflix and popcorn.
But try challenging yourself. Instead of every time you go to sit on the couch and watch TV, try reading a book or try taking a walk outside. We're not even talking about money. We're just saying like behavioral changes, because what you need to start doing is behaving as a wealthy person. What are the characteristics that are encompassed of a wealthy person? What are the daily habits that wealthy people do? And how can you start encompassing those little things into your daily life? Because again, it's not about changing everything that you're doing. It's just about making small changes, but being consistent on a daily basis. So start really having those thoughts and those conversations with yourself, because what happens is people get caught up, like you said earlier, in just the status or whatever it is that you think that you're entitled to, but they don't look at the journey that it takes wealthy people to get to have that status. status, which is why you won't find necessarily a lot of wealthy people having this entitlement mentality, because they had to grind to get to this point. You have to understand what it takes to get to that journey. So again, before you just jump to the results, you have to change your behavior and you have to change the mentality that comes with being wealthy and what that looks like.
Right. And I like the fact that you said it doesn't take drastic changes. It just takes small incremental changes over time, because they add up and those changes compound.
Yeah. There we go.
Those
Your
changes
habits compound.
There you go.
I like it.
Now, it's not, like we said earlier, it's not about how you finish, it's about how you start. And the biggest investment we can make, or that we earn the most from our investments, by how we start. And when it comes to our journey, how we start is very important. Now, one of the things to starting your journey is how you manage your money. And if you want to understand how we manage our money, check out our next video where we tell you that very thing on how we manage our funds.
And don't forget to own your own lifestyle.
Or someone else will.